haven't seen the beauty beyond the brick and the mortar out in the rough. You can only imagine the feeling that I carry in my heart when the sun comes up.
I'm Odon Corr, and this dog here near me is my dog Bar. She's half Airedale and half Jack Russell, and she's getting to be close to 9 years old and has been in on a lot of coyote hunts. But anyway, I wanted to make this video and tell you a little bit about myself before we start. I spent my early years on my grandfather's homestead near Summit, South Dakota. I've always trapped, and I can remember as far back as the late 1930s, I couldn't even set a number 1.5 long spring. My dad used to help me. He'd set the trap and I'd take it out in the pasture and put it in a flicker tail burrow. Well, I finally mastered setting the traps, and the first things I caught were flicker tails, or they were ground squirrels, everybody called them flicker tails, and muskrats, weasels, skunks. I didn't catch my first coyote till I was about 12 years old, and I was fascinated with this animal, and of course I had to learn more about him, and I kept after him, although I didn't catch too many in those early years. I graduated from Summit High School, and I went to work on ranches in South Dakota and Montana, but I always did some trapping along with the ranch work. I went into the Army in the early 1950s, and when I got out of the Army, I attended South Dakota State University at Brookings. I went to work for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service in the spring of 1962 for the old branch of Predator and Rodent Control as a trapper. I trapped for the government for 34 years in South Dakota, North Dakota. I spent 2 summers in northern Minnesota on wolf damage control. I retired in 1996 from government service, and I moved back to central South Dakota here in the Wessington Hills. It's a great wildlife area. And I decided to do this video by the urging of friends, and also that I'm 78 years old. The video was filmed during the past winter of 2011 and 2012. I had a 20-mile trap line I covered, which is my normal trap line, and I had 14 sets in with 2 traps to a set. So I had 28 traps in the ground during the months of December and January primarily. And I caught coyotes in every set. The top set produced 15, the second one produced 14. I ended up at the end of the first season with 96 coyotes trapped, which is, it's a fair catch, but there are a lot of coyotes all over, not only this area, but throughout the Dakotas and all the northern plains and Midwest. There are just a lot of coyotes. So it's not unusual to catch that many, but I did catch 96. I want to thank you for buying this video, and I hope you enjoy it, and we'll learn something about the coyote and how to capture him. Now let's go catch some coyotes. Yeah. Okay. Some rocks right in here. Where that shooting was coming from. Probably one of these hunting lodges up here. Got hunters out. Okay, here's a shot of a great coyote area that I've trapped for many years, and there's about 3 different drainages, all meet down in the bottom here, and it's just what I call just one of those coyote highways. They come from 3 different directions because they got all these drainages, and there's a water hole down there with some dirt dugout is what we call them, and high piles of dirt. And I've trapped in here for years, and if you can find where you've got 2 or 3 things come together like these drainages, it's an ideal spot. And I've caught many, many coyotes here over the years. It's just a great area. I'm at a location here where I'll be doing some coyote trapping later this fall, and what I'm doing here is establishing a bait station. I've had bait stations here for many years, but pretty well most of it's all bones now and dried up. But the sheep raiser that lives near here gave me this dead ewe to dump down here, so that's what I'm doing today. And I'll put her here, and we've got high ground right next to me here, and I'll put sets in here a little later on. The coyotes will be working on this sheep, and I've used this here for many years, and during the course of the winter, a place like this will produce 10 or 12 coyotes for me, and it's just kind of a natural crossing for coyotes anyway. But with this what we call bait station in here, it just makes it that much better. I'll just dump her off here, and it'll improve the catch. I'll be trapping about 50 feet away. The sets will be about 50 feet away from this carcass here, and when the weather gets bad, there'll be many coyotes will be moving in here. Okay, I'm going to put a set in here. We're just off a ways from this dead sheep. As kind of a draw station. We're about, I'm probably about 50 feet up on this high ground, and just picked a spot here that'll blow clear of snow. And where the draw station is, it can get snow down there. They'll dig down into that all winter long, but they like to run up on here, run up on this high spot and urinate. And I'll have a double set up here, a baited set, and this has always been a good spot. I've caught many coyotes on this ridge here over the years. It's just it's kind of a runway through here, and they seem like they all got to visit this water hole and get up on these banks. So I'll go ahead and make my set. This is the reason I sharpen the edge of these trapping trowels. You can cut some of this vegetation down around the edge. You don't want anything near your trap that's going to catch more snow. I throw away the big clods out of here and dig it down, although we're on high ground. I still have a little depressed area where the trap's going to be. Not too much, but so they got to come down they're coming down when they step in here. The bait hole will be right here near this rock that's been here for years and years. I'll just open up the spot here a little bigger so I can get my bait in and dig out a little bit more there. Kind of a crumbly area, but that's gonna work. That's good. Right here, I'm gonna use a longer stake. I got most of my stakes are 24, but here's a 30-incher because it's real dry up here, and I want to make sure I got some good contact with some firm soil. So I'll put in this 30-inch stake.
Hey, talk a little bit about letting the hammer do the work so you ain't killing yourself.
Yeah.
If you pound it right, it takes a lot of the work out.
Yeah.
Okay, just talk about this shake, would you?
Okay, I'm using a 30-inch stake here, but as I mentioned, I use a heavy hammer. You don't hardly have to swing too hard, just kind of let it drop, because you can really goof up your elbow by swinging too light a hammer. I found that out the hard way quite a few years ago. But right now I get by pretty good by using a real heavy hammer. Drive it down to within about an inch of the ground, and you maintain your swivel. And up on a point like this, your coyote, he's always pulling straight out, and in fact, he'll be over this bank here a lot of the time when he gets caught. So okay, I'll set the trap. One thing about these traps, how flat they set. They're just set really nice. Your pan is level with the outside jaws, or maybe slightly lower. That's the way I like them. Okay, I got to gather up a little bit extra dirt, but it's right below me here. There's a lot of it, so no problem. Build up a ridge around the trap. Very important. So it sets, when you get it covered, it'll be a concave setup kind of. Okay, ready to put the trap pan cover on.
How important is trap stability compacted?
Well, it's very important to have a steady trap, so you don't want them to be able to step on one jaw and move the trap. You can hit this trap anywhere, it's solid. It's very important. And I don't put too much dirt covering on. If you got a concave setup with your trap, then if you have a light covering of dirt, if you get rain, it's going to wash some dirt in. So it'll increase. It won't expose your trap. It'll actually cover your trap more by having it set concave if you do get rain. For this time of year in this country, we don't worry too much about rain, but if you were trapping, damage control trapping in the summer, you worry about rain a lot. So a concave trap will take quite a lot of rain because it'll actually increase the the covering on your trap by washing a little dirt in there. If you've got a trap that's high, it'll uncover it. I like to level it off and then sift one more time. If we're leveling it one time, it kind of settles it in around the edges. And
Tell me a little bit about backing and why it's important.
well, the backing, my idea of backing, if you use a backing, make it low so they can step over. Now here, you've got this cut bank, but you've got an opening. They can come around, come in here, go around, come in there. If you use backing, put it low. You don't want to put a trap right up against a tree or a post or a large rock or something, because some coyotes will stop. They want something they can approach from any angle and step over it. You might catch some by the hind foot, but that doesn't make any difference. You got them. If you got a good trap, you'll hold them by the hind foot as well as the front. So backing is important, but the main thing is to have a small backing they can step over. Okay, I expose one jaw there. I'll expose the other jaw here. Then you have to have your guide rock right there. I'll put one there. I see another rock right here that I can get. Here's the other jaw. I'll put the other rock right here. And a coyote, you can make a coyote step wherever you want him to. And it doesn't take much either. You wonder, he comes up here when it's dark. I'm sure a lot of them come in the dark, but they don't kind of know where they're stepping. And if they step on a rock, step on a rock, they move over. It's very important with the dog, with the traps with the dog on, to have one rock near the end of the dog. And then I put one off from the free jaw too. But the dogless trap, you don't have a free jaw. They both come up. But anyway, you should guide them with rocks, or you can use other things too. Some people use bones. I don't use cow chips because it's so windy, they just blow away. I got a little piece of backing here of absorbent material for my lure holder. Just poke that down in there.
Explain to me why you put on how much bait and how much is needed.
Okay. Well, I'm going to apply the lure here. On this setup right here, I'm going to use two different types of lure because I want to put some lure up on that side of this rock right here. And some of this regular coyote bait I'll put right down in the hole. And I'll show you when I put the other on, but the amount I put. You put about, oh, size of a lima bean or so is all you need. You don't need a lot. Okay. This lure here has got some different stuff added to it. And I'll put some of that on the rock. Some different attractors than the other lure. About that much. It does not take much lure. This stuff here is kind of like soft peanut butter consistency. I'll take that down. I'll just smear some of that right on that rock. Maybe clean my knife off there a little bit. And also, with this setup here, I'm going to use a few feathers. I use some pigeon feathers and let them drift around, and they'll drift around the area, blow around the area, and a coyote maybe entice him to come up on here. You try to find these, but I just pull these out, and they just at random, they can be anywhere. You know, I don't do that with every set, but every once in a while it seems to help. You're pulling a coyote up on a pretty high spot here, but they like to go up on high spots, and the lure scent will carry much farther up here too. And then you've got another advantage, it'll stay clear of snow. Okay, the urine I just put a little bit above the set, maybe sprinkle a little bit here where I've kneeled, and when I get up now, I'll rough up the ground a little bit, and we'll be finished with this set there. This spot here has caught many coyotes over the years. I can't begin to count how many, but you know, 10 or 12 probably a season over many years. Rough up the ground a little bit where I kneeled, and we're in business. This is the draw station that's just off about 50 feet from this dirt bank here, and just want to show you in relation to the draw station where the set is. I have one set on the north end of the dirt bank and one set on the south. Now these sets were just put in the other day. This is the second coyote that I've taken here, and this will continue to produce all winter. Probably have sets in here on through December and January, and there'll be a good number of coyotes captured here during that time. So I'll go ahead and dispatch this coyote here with a heart shot. I'll have to move around here a little bit so I get a better. That'll work. That'll work. There'll be no blood. He'll die. He's going down right now, and it's very, very humane, and right there's the final kick. No blood. Coyote's dead immediately, just about. I've did hundreds of them that way, probably even 1,000. It's the way to kill a coyote in a trap. No blood. Okay, I have the trap reset. Using the same catch circle, put the trap right back in the same bed it was in. Place the guide rocks. You can kind of guide the coyote, but make him step where you want to, and it's kind of back normal condition again. So we'll be on to the next set. Okay, I just want to show something on this sheep carcass here. I trap around sheep ranches quite a little, and a lot of sheep producers, they find a dead sheep, and normally you can tell what killed it if you know what to look for. But this sheep here, it just died on its own, but I can tell you what to look for and tell you that coyotes have fed on it. As far as the kill, a coyote just about always attacks the sheep in the throat area. One of the canines will be under the ear and the other one in the bottom of the throat, and they just hang on and actually suffocate them. But if you find a carcass that's fed on, a thing that's pretty much a dead giveaway that it's coyotes is this shoulder blade. One of the shoulder blades, the upper side of the sheep usually, will be pulled out and the meat eaten off the bone, and they really like to expose the blade itself, and they will chew off this gristly stuff on the end of the scapula blade. And I've seen very few dogs ever do this, but this is typical of a coyote feeding. When the shoulder blade is exposed like this and pulled out kind of inside out from the hide. The other thing that a coyote likes to do when he's feeding, you can't see it quite so much on this carcass, they like to snip off the bottom parts of these ribs because they've got that gristly area on them. And they really, it must be a delicacy to them. But the shoulder blade is pretty much a dead giveaway. It's a coyote feeding or chewing on the bottom parts of the ribs. That's if you know it's heavy feeding and you don't see any tracks and there's just grass area like there is here. But like we have here, it's definitely coyotes have been feeding here. Okay. The reason I selected this spot for a set is everything comes together here. As you can see, there's a fence line running right out north and south here. One of the major drainages through this country is right here below us where the pickup is parked. And there's a stock pond here. All the livestock trails converge on this water supply, and coyotes follow the livestock trails. And they always try to pick the easiest way of travel, and that's it. And this is also a spot where dead animals have been dumped over the years, dead calves and stuff, where those trees are over across there in front of me. So there's bone pile there. They're used to coming here, and a spot like this, the coyotes just continue coming. I mean, you can trap here all winter, and there'll be movement in this area. So we should make a catch here in just a day or two. Okay, this is another shot of the same area where I'm going to put in a double set here, and it gives you a better idea of how everything comes together here. We've got this major drainage, a fence line right here, a dam on this lower end of this stock pond right here, and it's also, we've dumped, the rancher has dumped dead animals in here. It's kind of a bone pile below this lower tree here. So coyotes are used to coming here. But everything converges right here, and it'll blow clear of snow. We're going to trap on high ground again because this weather's going to change any time, and we'll be ready for it. Most of this area will blow clear of snow, and the coyotes will continue coming here. They come here all the time, but the movement's on now this fall and winter. There'll be activity through here. Every few days there'll be coyotes through here. So it's just a hot spot that I like to set up this time of year. Well, I'm going to go ahead and put in a double set here. I went down below the bank there and got some dry dirt. Usually on the back side of these, this fill dirt here, it stays dry. You can always find dry dirt. But I trap right on top of the fill. That way the area will stay clear of snow. And basically I put in the same type set all the time with the setting the trap slightly below the surrounding ground level, pack it in, and make sure it doesn't tip if they step on the edge of it, so the set is solid. And I can pack it in with the back side of my hands, and then I will run dry dirt over the top. I'll show you here in a little bit here how I use a pan cover. And there's the set before I put the pan cover on. It's all packed in. I'll just put the, I use baggies for pan covers, and an old table knife to pack it in around inside the jaws so it gets taut. And I've put on many of these over the years, and they've proven to me to be the best material to use for a pan cover. And after I get that tight in there, then I'll sift dirt over the top of that. And it has worked real well for me. They're flexible even when the weather gets cold. There's no crackling or anything. They're very silent. I'll pack a little bit more dirt, spread a little more dirt with my hands, loose dirt there, and then I will sift over the center. Sometimes when you get real fine dirt, you don't need to sift. You can just put it in with your hands. Here I use a coffee can for a sifter, and poke holes in the bottom, and that works real good for me. Just sift right over the center part, and the outside is kind of packed in with your hands, but then I level it off with my trapping trowel, and that's a good tool also for digging and for leveling like this here. And I will put some guides in here now after I get this final sifting done. But the coffee can works real well. I'll show you how I place the guides in this trap. But it should be below, when you get completed, the trap set should be slightly below the ground level around you there. And I use the end of my table knife there. I can kind of tell where the edge of the trap jaw is, so that's where I place one of my guide rocks. I don't want them to step right on where the jaw, because they could throw their foot up and you wouldn't catch them and throw their foot out. So then I measure across the other side and place a guide rock on that side. And as far as the bait, I'll make a small bait hole here, and I'm putting in some more covering. I guess I've got the bait hole. See, I had it already made here, but okay, for the bait material, you want some absorbent material down in the hole, and I use a piece of paper towel, just wad it up and poke down in that hole, and then any attractor, lure attractor I put in there, if it's kind of runny, it'll absorb into that paper towel. It's either, a lot of the stuff I use is kind of a paste consistency, and smear that down in there on the paper towel, and with the guide rocks and the small hole like that, and then I try to face that bait hole so they come into the northwest, because the prevailing wind in the fall and winter is from northwest, so I try to face that hole into the northwest from where the trap is actually set. And there's a rock there on each side of the jaws, so it's a very good set. I've taken hundreds and hundreds of coyotes with that same type set. I sprinkle a little bit of urine up above the lure hole or bait hole. You don't need very much. And then once you catch a coyote, you don't need to add any more urine, because it's all reeks of urine, but you will have to use your bait in the bait hole there. But the set is now complete, and as I get up here, I will rough up the ground a little bit, and that's all there is to it. Well, I picked up some more dirt over there, and I'll pack in around the trap now. You always want to build up a ridge all the way around the jaws of the trap, so your trap sets in a depression. Okay, I'm ready to put the pan cover on now. This wind makes it a little bit tough to handle, but I like these sandwich bags as pan covers. And with the knife, you can tuck them in real taut like that. They just make a good covering. And what I do right around the edge of the, before I do any sifting, kind of run some fine dirt in there to kind of settle that, press that down a little bit. Then I'll sift right over the jaws. And you level it off with your trapping trowel. You'll even go down to expose the pan cover, but you'll be adding more dirt yet. You level that off, it'll settle it. Get a little bit of this drier stuff here. You don't want any very large rocks in there. If you see a little rock get in there, kind of flip it out. You don't want that to get between the jaws and stopping from coming tight. Oh, okay, now I take my table knife here and I find where that one jaw edge is. And right off on that, I use a lot of these flat pieces of flat rock if I can find them. And I used to use cow chips, but with this wind, your cow chips will, unless you put dirt on them or something, and they wouldn't be natural, they'll blow away. So these flat rocks, if I run onto a rock pile or the edge of a creek or something where there is some of them, I'll throw them in my pickup box. So I put that right in here at kind of an angle. The trap is here, the bait hole is going to be here, and then on the other jaw over here, right there, I'll take another small rock. You don't have to be very big. You always want to use something the coyote can step over. There's quite a few coyotes. I've tracked them in the snow over the years. They'll come up to something. If they can't step over it, they'll stop back here. So if you got any backing at all, have it so they can step over it, come in from any side they want to. They can come in from any direction. And you'll catch the wise old coyote that everybody else misses because they've got big chunks of backing and he won't go up to that. But, you know, the average coyote you catch. But there's certain ones you've got to make your set like you're dealing with the smartest one out there, because you probably will be. Okay, on my bait hole, I just use an extra short trap stake and drive it in at an angle about such, maybe 45. Drive that in about 6 inches deep, right there. I'm only about 3 inches from the near edge of that trap. I know some people have made the statement that you should be back a certain amount of inches and stuff, and I'm sure that works in certain cases, but you leave them too much room to get in between your trap and the bait. And I learned this close placement of the bait in early 60s. I started using coyote getters. I learned a lot by tracks from coyote getters and how close they are to the bait. When they put their nose down, they're not out that far. Their nose goes right down by their front feet. So if you're back very far, you're going to miss them. This way, they'll be up standing right on the, step right on the pan when that nose goes down to inspect that lure. Okay, I use this wadded up paper towel, absorbent, any absorbent material, but this works real good. Clean paper towel. Take my old table knife and poke that down in that hole, because you can poke it down in there tight. And it's pretty hard for them to get that out of there without firing that trap off. Okay, on this one here, I'll use just a little different type of attractor than I did on the other one there. It doesn't take very much. On this set here, I'll also put some of the little added feature I do at times, not to all sets, but once in a while. I got some pigeon feathers here. I'll just let a few of them out here to kind of float around, and they don't have to be on your set, just in the general area. And once they pick up them, then they might pick one of them up quite a ways off, and they'll really get inquisitive then about something around here that they'd like to check out. So I'll give it a little shot of urine, not much. I use urine pretty sparingly above the bait hole, and maybe a drop or two right in here where I'm kneeled. And what I'll do is this rock here is not needed. That was just an extra one I had there. I'll get a little bit more of this real dried up kind of commoner dirt and stuff like that. And when I get up, I always kind of try to rough the ground up a little bit, like a coyote, like nothing. Like I haven't been here, and they even kind of resemble coyote kick marks. I don't think they can reason that out, but it kind of hides your features that you've been here. And it's completed. The double set's in. Okay, I wanted to point out all the sign there is in this area. There's coyote scat right here, and all along on the top of this damn fill, there's coyote tracks. I mean, they've been made. There's the new ones, old ones. They've been going through here all summer. There's more scat right here. It's just a well-traveled runway for coyotes, and it's very important to find sign before you make a set. And where you find sign like this, you know it's going to make a catch within a matter of just a few days. And I always set double sets. The person on a lot of sign like this, I even at times have gone to 3 sets. But there's scat all over and tracks all over this area. It's just a good spot. It looks like I got a coyote here. This is a set I put in, double set that I put in yesterday. It's near, used to be a draw station here a year or two ago, and there was a tremendous amount of tracks here. And I figured it'd just be a short time before we had one or two, and we got one here the first night, so it's a good location. That's it. Oh. Yeah, I want to show you why I always leave the stake up about 1 inch when I make a set for coyotes. I feel it's pretty important for them to be able to go around the stake just like that. You got swivel there. You got 2 swivels on the shock spring and another swivel at the trap, and that really gives them room to move around and very little chance they can get bound up, the chain kinked up and such. But anyway, this is the way I like to have the trap chain work. Okay, I'll go ahead and redo this set. Okay, I'll redo this set where we just caught this coyote, and again I'll use the wire brushes, which is a very important piece of equipment. After you made a catch, go over the jaws, under the jaws, and over the pan, because there's always some dirt. Sometimes a little blood there you got to clean off. But and then rub it down real good where the pan meets this catch attachment here, so it'll go back in that notch. Sometimes when it gets cold, some of that freezes on the pan, but with your trapper's trowel you can scrape it pretty good. With that and the wire brush you can get the trap back, and looks pretty good. We'll go right back, and you see the large catch circle here. We've got about a 6-foot catch circle, and put the trap right back in the center of the circle in the original trap bed. Test the stake, make sure it's good here. I can tamp that down, make it a little bit more secure. You just bring in this ground up stuff from the catch circle and fill in around your trap. Everything smells so strong of coyote here now that he's not going to, if that trap does have some odor on it, he's not going to be able to detect that trap from anything else in here. But you never want to take this dirty trap and put it in a clean spot. Some people think you can do that, but they'll dig it up. Majority of the time your trap will be dug up. You want to pack it around so your trap's set slightly lower than the surrounding ground, so when the coyote comes up he's going down, putting a little bit more weight on on that foot. Yeah, I'll fill in with some of this stuff there. You always want to make sure there's no rocks of any size get in there, but usually this area here is pretty fine dirt. I can use the sifter, I will probably a little bit, but you got all this good stuff, you may not have to use the sifter. Once you catch a coyote in a location like this here, there's no end to the amount of animals that will show up here until probably the weather will drive you out of here. But with the amount of coyotes in the country nowadays, you'll never run out of coyotes. As long as you can keep it working, you'll catch coyotes throughout the winter. Dig down to find one jaw. Oh, they'll tromp all over here. I still use the guide rocks. Find the other jaw. Just put a rock in there. Clean out the bait hole. Open it up, and that's at a 45 degree. There's still some lure and paper towel material in there, but I'll freshen it up a little bit. Add a little more chunk of paper towel down in there. You've still, even after a repeat catch, you've got to still focus them in on one spot. And I use the same lure I had in there before. I try to, once in a while, you might make a mistake or something, but that's all right to have two different types of lure odor in there. But I try to stick with the same thing. If it's catching coyotes, you know it is. Stick with it. Don't change. I always carry 4 or 5, maybe up half a dozen different types of lure with me. And then some regular bait, of course, too. But set's about completed. Actually, a set like this, you don't really need any urine. I can maybe put a couple drops there, but it's not necessary after you make a fresh catch like this here. Then I'll rough up the ground where I've kneeled. I'll try to bring it back to what appears to be somewhat normal. But there's droppings now all over, and there, we're ready for coyote number 2 now at this spot. Okay, I see we got a coyote in this set. We had one in this area here the other day, but I see this one here is in the other trap. I always have double traps, double sets at each location, and sometimes you'll keep repeat catches in the same trap, and then different places they'll just alternate from one set to the other. so you never know. Then of course occasionally you get doubles. But anyway, this is in the trap that was undisturbed the other day. Most of them have different type of animal attractors. I don't put the same usually at each set. I alternate. But it looks like it's a well furred out coyote. I see the other trap is sprung. It's hard to say it. Pulled out of the bed. It wasn't a coyote though. I think probably a bunch of deer came through here and sprung the trap. So I'll dispatch this coyote here and I'll redo the set. That's a beautiful animal. We've caught a coyote now in each one of these sets. One here, and the other coyote was caught over there. This is the one we got today. And I want to show you a little bit about fur quality on some of these coyotes, and especially in the northern plains area of the Dakotas and Wyoming, Montana. This is what I definitely call a #1 coyote. You got the good white undercoat, and you look at the hair on the belly up in here. The white goes all the way to the skin. There's no dark hair. And this is definitely top of the line coyote. But you don't get all these. But a lot of them are like this in this area. They're a beautiful animal, and they'll bring the top price always at the first sale. I just wanted to show you that. Here's a winter scene of the same dam. There's like probably 4 or 5 inches of snow on the level, but you can see on the top of these dikes, it just blows clear. In this country here in the northern plains, we always have a lot of wind, so that's the place to make your sets. Don't ever put them down in the wind on the lee side of something like this. Stay up on top, because you can draw a coyote right up there without any trouble. Okay, here's a remake I made after the snow and that coyote catch. As you can see, there's of course we've had a dry winter, so there's a lot of dry dirt. But once you catch a coyote, you can't hardly keep them away from there. It just reeks of coyote odor, and with this dry dirt that you'll have trapping high ground like this, it's great for a good remake. And before a matter of just a day or two, there'll be another coyote in this trap. Here's a shot of an area where I catch a lot of coyotes every winter. It's a major drainage, and there's several side drainages coming into it. And of course, coyotes like to follow drainages, and it's just a tremendous place to catch them. There's a good trail coming there from the left on down, and I've always put in a double set, what I call the double dugouts down here, and I have put 3 in. Some years there's so many tracks in here that I'll add actually 3 traps, which I don't do very often. But as you can see, with the lay of the land, it's just perfect coyote country. You can see the cow trails coming in there, and coyotes like to stay in drainages, and they like to follow cow trails. Of course, this is in the fall and winter, and the cattle are all out, so you can utilize trapping near the cow trails because they follow them year-round. But you see some more of the drainage system coming in from this side, And you can always depend on a good many coyotes here. I think this past season I picked up 14 at this location, which is, it's above average, but it always produces anywhere from 8 or 10 a season. So it's above average, but it's just terrific coyote country. Okay, I put in a triple set here a couple days ago. There's a lot of sign. I very seldom use 3 traps at a location, but this was more sign than normal. So I see we got a double here this morning. And there's one animal right here, and the other one's up to my left here on the point of this dirt pile, probably about 30 yards from this one here. I had this set, a set up here, another set over there, and this is right. These sets are right in a major drainage system here, and it's just an ideal spot for coyotes to travel. And it wouldn't be uncommon to get a triple here ever so often, but there's just so much sign here that there'll probably be a coyote in these. Every time this set is checked here for a few days, there'll be a coyote or two here. So that's why I put in a triple. That's it. Okay, this the coyote that I just took out of the trap here. I want to show you something that I observed on this animal. He has a bare spot right here, and high up on the hip, and the new hair is starting to grow in. That's a bullet hole. Just to show you the tenacity of this animal. That was the bullet hole went in there. You turn him over, the same thing here. The bullet hole came out there. Shot completely through. Leg, fine. No bones broke. He was very lucky. Didn't hit any bone, but not too many critters get shot directly through and they survive. But the coyote is a survivor. And I just wanted to show that. I'm sure it knocked him down. The person that ever shot at him, probably within this last year, must have knocked him down, but he didn't go over. He thought he missed him, but he didn't. He hit him. The other animal's down here about 30 yards on the other end of this pile of dirt. This dirt was taken out when they excavated for this water hole. But this one here is on a slight of a more rise. That one down there, the set down below here, is kind of clear opening. The snow will blow clear, and this one here is high enough where this will stay clear all the time. So these elevated spots are great to capture coyotes in because they'll always be working. The snow will blow right on out of here. And this is a young animal. It's probably this year's coyote, probably born last April. Well furred out. It's probably about the best they get for the winter. They'll get a little bit better in December, the fur quality, but it's a nice looking animal for fur. So I'll go ahead and dispatch this animal, and I can point out some features on this chain and swivel setup which shows it real well. I've got about 20 inches of non-kink chain on this trap coming off the base plate. I've got the inline spring, inline shock spring right here, a little bit closer to the stake than the trap. And you don't want to have it right near the stake in case you get wet conditions. It'll ball up with mud. I've got a lap link on the end of the chain. I'm using 7/16 smooth rod. And this is, all my stakes are 24 and 30 inch. And this is probably a 30-inch stake because some of these spots are pretty dry. I don't like the double stake. I always like the coyote to have a chance to go around the stake. It's very important. Then you got your swivels here where your animal can go around this way and then go around the stake. And there's 1, 2, 3, there's 4 swivels on this setup, counting the lap link at the chain. And this happens to be a number 2 coil spring trap. Most of my traps are 3 size, but I do use a few 2s. And this is a very good catch, a full pad catch here. But with a shock spring, you can have a partial pad catch, 2-toe catch, and still hold them because they don't have the solid pull. So that's the way I rig all my coyote traps, with that type of chain. I like, when I shoot these animals in the heart area, I like the left side, and I prefer them standing up. Now he's stretched out, so we can get the shot this way. But you shoot him right directly across, below the center line, behind the shoulder. And he hasn't got long to live right now. He's going down, and that's all there's to it. Well, I'll redo this set. Like I say, I kneel on just a trash bag. You wouldn't have to use anything, but you do leave some scent on your knees, and actually the trash bag is more or less just to keep your knees dry, because a lot of times the soil is wet. Okay, use the wire brush where the foot was in the trap. Take the wire brush, clean it off. Then go underneath. With this type of wire brush, you can get between the jaws and the pan. Kind of look the trap over, make sure. Once in a while the trap dog gets bent. This one here is still straight. That's one of the weaker spots on the doggone traps, is the dog is sometimes a little softer material, but this one's pretty straight. I've had to replace them at times, but not too often. Anyway, it's all ready to go right back in the same bed. Right here you've got your same trap bed that you had before. Just clean the dirt out of it. This here is a perfect setup. The way the land lays is, of course, I picked these spots purposely where you got the slope. There's northwest right there. The wind mainly is going to be coming from that way. The attractor is there, the trap is here. And when he's coming into the attractor, he's going to be going downhill a little bit, and you've got a little bit more weight. The trap is set concave in the bed, but he's going to be going downhill, and he'll hit that trap pretty hard and just about guarantee a pad catch every time. Of course, I always make my sets so they can approach it from any angle. But with that, always I try to keep the wind in mind when I can at all times. The stake seems to be pretty solid. He's dug out around it a little bit there. I'll probably drive it down just a shade more. One thing, after you make a catch, you've got all this dirt in your catch circle. Just shove it back in and use the same bed. when I place the trap in the bed in conjunction with the bait hole where the lure is going to go, I try to set it so the trap is setting at the 2 o'clock position on the trap would be towards the bait hole, and that's at a slight angle. I don't know why, I just have done that over the years, and I don't like to set them completely where they come in completely crossways, but a slight angle seemed like I've had the best luck. You bring in this dirt from a surrounding area in the catch circle and build up what I call the collar around the trap. You've got to have that ridge around the trap. So your trap is, before you start covering the center, your trap is going to be setting in center of kind of a donut hole. And now, then pack that in real firm with the back side of your hand. The only place you need to sift or want to sift is right inside those jaws. You don't need to sift out here. That's, again, I've said before, why I just use the 2-pound coffee can, because I can place my sifting right where I want it. I take my gloves off and I put the pan cover on, and I cut a slot in the bag, of course, for the dog. Take your old table knife, shove that in. By using a table knife, you don't have much room to work. You can shove it in those smaller crevices there on the set trap. You can just reach out and get some of this dry dirt here. Sometimes I'll take a little bit just with my hands and put right inside the jaw there to kind of make the covering lay down a little better, and then I will sift. Sift right inside the jaws. Then I take my trapping trowel, I'll level that off, but it'll have to be sifted again. But to level it off once, then it'll kind of push the dirt down in around inside the jaws. I'll sift it again. And then what's left, just put that around here. And then what you do, I take the knife and find out where the end of the trap dog is. That's very important in a doggone trap, and that has to be guarded. Oh, I can use smaller flat rocks. You lay one right off the end of the trap dog. You don't want him stepping where the dog attaches under the pan, because it'll throw that trap dog up, and that causes sprung traps. If a person's having a lot of sprung traps, they're not guarding the jaw with the dog on. The free jaw, not so important. They can step anywhere there, but you don't want them stepping where that trap dog has got to fly up. And then on the other side, I kind of guide them with flat rocks. These are a little larger than I normally use. And I'll take this one here. I think that one was there before, yes. That one was there before. So what I do with the lure hole, I bring that rock right up. Some of the lure, after I've put that in there, is still on this rock. In fact, there's enough there smeared up underneath that rock, I won't even have to add any more. This rock here, just a spare, I'll just throw off the side. Okay, this set here I've used for many, many years, and I know to me, as a kid, it was just a coyote set that I learned, and like I've said before, where a coyote has got to be able to come in from any angle and walk through your set. A lot of people call this the walk-through set, but it's just a coyote set that I've probably been using for 40 years. And I know from experience, I've tracked them in the snow, that some of them will not come up to something that they got to back up. They want to step through it. And you will catch 99% of your coyotes in a set like that. I mean, there's other sets to use, but this set here is the main set in my trapping. Okay, I'll probably freshen up with just a little bit of lure, and I can tell by the consistency what that was on this set here, so you can see it from the back side, and how the trap is and set in relation to the bait hole. I'm going to add a little fresh bait. There's still some there from before the catch, but I can tell by the consistency of it what it was, so I'll put some of the same stuff in there, and right down in the bait hole there, and maybe just touch your knife off, clean it off underneath that flat rock. And when I come back after a coyote, this rock will be here, and there'll be dirt stuck right in there where that lure was, so I put the same rock back over. But you can see the center of this here is not tore up at all. The coyote's going around, and he can still come up, approach from any angle, and walk through the set. I don't care what way he comes from, but normally, northwest wind, he'll come in against the wind. He'll come in this way, but he may come in that way. You may get a back foot catch. You may get 2 front feet at once, but that's immaterial because you're going to catch him. You don't care, but normally you will catch him by a front foot. So that's how I make the repeat set. And well, we got a coyote in this set here. Kind of a brown looking animal, but he's not caught very well. So here's an example of why I like to use shock springs, inline shock springs in the chain. If that coyote had been in a solid pull trap, he would have probably escaped. So this here is, I would say this coyote is probably caught by about 2 toes. About 2 toes, caught in a number 3 coil spring trap. But I'm going to shoot this coyote now. There's a certain place you can shoot a coyote where he won't bleed, and it's pretty much pretty humane. It's pretty instant death. You got to kind of kneel down. Well, now he moved on me a little bit, but I'll get him around here. I want to show you where to hit him. Okay, that's pretty good right there. You shoot him behind the front leg and down fairly low. And watch him now. He's going down. Okay, I want to show you this coyote that we've just caught here, the kind of a catch we had, which happens every so often. The coyote had 2 toes in there. Okay, you see, he could never get a solid pull. The inline shock spring. Normally, they can twist those toes off. I've held them by 1 toe even. And this is a great improvement for trappers, is the inline shock spring. I think, I don't have any trap set without them. Anyway, when I shot this coyote, I'll take him out of here and show you. When I shot this coyote, I like to shoot him in the left side if possible. Okay, you figure coyote's about that high. Figure right behind the left shoulder, figure where the center line is on your coyote, and then drop down about 1 inch and try to shoot him at a horizontal level to the coyote. And it's a hard shot, and it kills them in a matter of just 3-4 seconds. They're down and they're dead, and it's very humane. You don't have any blood at all on your set. This here is probably a young of the year. Yeah, this coyote is, I'd call him a yearling. Okay, I'll explain a little bit about what I think the age of this coyote is, and I think it works. I've looked at a lot of them, and this coyote here is not old, but he's not this year's pup either. When I look at these teeth here, as far as I can tell, this is about a yearling coyote. And how you can tell is these center bottom teeth. There's 4 teeth right in the middle there, and when they're pups, up to about a year old, they got little steps on them, little drop-offs. And these are wore down pretty good. There's one there that's got a little bit left. But I would say this coyote here was a year old last spring. So he's about a year and a half old. And other than that, he's a dark coyote, but he's got pretty good quality fur on him. And you get these dark ones once in a while. Most of our coyotes in this area are more pale. But anyway, he's got a fair fur. Okay, we'll redo the set. Okay, this here is a set I've made on the edge of the soybean field. I try to always set northwest of where I feel the coyote's traveling. And here we're probably 10, 12 feet from the south edge of this field. But the soybeans are a wonderful place to trap coyotes. Years back, they didn't usually plant any soybeans in this country, but now they plant a lot of them, and they cut them short. There's nothing to catch snow, and if they're adjacent to a tall grass area or a tall grass hay ground or pasture, the coyotes will run the edge of these soybean fields, and the wind will blow clear. And they're just, if you've got soybean fields in your area, utilize them as set locations, because any place you can set up a trap set that's not going to catch a lot of snow is where you want to be. And this set is right here, and coyotes travel all along here. There's a pasture here with a lot of vegetation, but just going across country, they'll run this here. Another thing I do, as you'll see on this post, I put a big rock on top of that post. So if I want to check this set with binoculars from a distance, I just line up I know where it is in conjunction with that rock on the post. That way I can check this set from about a half a mile away, which makes it, if there's something in the trap, I can see it pretty easy and come down and redo it. But anyway, utilize the soybean fields. They're great spots to catch coyotes. Well, we got a badger here this morning in this set. This is a set I use quite a lot off a fence corner. You can see the cow trails going by here. And here I had what I call a flat post wood set. And you'll catch badgers trapping coyotes. There's no way you can get away from it, but it's one of our good fur bearers we have here in the Dakotas. So there's nothing against catching a badger, but they tear up the ground a lot, and you got to do some leveling off, but it makes a fairly good place to capture a coyote, because it's be an attraction, the scent there, and they'll stop and smell around when you get your coyote set back in. So I'll just shoot this badger, and then I'll have to level the spot off. I shoot them right in the head and let them bleed down in the hole that they've dug, and then when I level it off, I cover all that over. So I'll just let that badger bleed out for a few minutes and then I'll take him out of the trap. Okay, I'm going to redo this set here where we had just caught the badger. I leveled off the spot. They had dug up quite a lot and moved off to the edge, but it only improves it. The badger, being a member of the weasel family, he has quite a musky odor, and seem like coyotes are attracted somewhat to it, and it'll just improve this location by catching this badger. And the badger is a fairly valuable fur bearer in these times, so it's all right to catch a badger. Anyway, so I'll go ahead and start putting in this new set. The old trap bed is pretty well destroyed when you catch a badger, so you got to kind of start from scratch out on the edge of the badger circle. Stay right in the badger scent area, but just on the edge of it. About as far as you want to drive it down. Leave it up by an inch from the bottom so you can maintain that swivel around the stake. Yeah, got to dig out just a little bit deeper depression there. That style of trap has got a kind of elongated base, so you got to set that down in the bottom. One thing, the badger creates a lot of nice covering dirt for you. This dry conditions we've had lately, for quite a while now, they like to dig a lot after they get in the trap, and they create a lot of good dirt for the remake. Okay, I'm going to use the post set again. Use the post as my lure holder, put it right up to the trap, and then back here on the other jaw, find where that is, and put in a kind of a flat rock, somewhat flat rock in there. Actually, this flat post set is nothing more than a flat set with some little change in where you put your attractor. My lure and everything I had from when we caught the badger is still on there, but I'll just add a little bit of fresh lure.
When you get that right up, that knife right up to where you're putting that in, just hold it there for a second and say, that's about what I put in there.
Okay. Okay, this is the mount that I normally use. It's not very much, and that's all you need. Kind of smear it down on that paper towel material there. This here has a kind of a grease base, and it just won't dry out. It'll be there. You get an animal, it'll be there. Just find your post, and you might have to add a little fresh like this here, but that's all. But you got to have something to pinpoint them in here because everything smells like a badger. And I'll also add a little bit of coyote urine, a little bit on the side of this grass, maybe a little bit right on the post. And then as I get up, I'll kind of rough up the area where I've had my needling cloth.
Talk about that hump.
Oh. Okay, I utilize this hump here as kind of a guide also, because I just was looking for a good place on the edge of the badger catch area, and this is kind of a guide. They'll come down the cow trail up. They can walk through it. You've heard of the walk-through set. I've been using them for forever, and you just give a coyote plenty of room where you can kind of come in from any way, and that's how to consistently capture coyotes. You got to have a little room to approach your set. Another thing I'm going to do here with this poster, I'm going to brace it up a little bit. Deer and such come through, and I'll just take a clod of this hard dirt that the badger has dug up and kind of push in on the side of the post here so it can't be rolled away so easy. But that set now is completed, and it's a better set now than it was before we caught the badger. Actually, there's no coyote come by here without investigating this. So that's how to do a remake after a badger. Okay, I want to show you the equipment I use for making a set for coyotes, and I'll just go through them one at a time. Actually, this is a hammer or pounder, I call it. A fairly heavy duty, I don't know, I suppose it's 5-7 pounds maybe. But the idea is to have a fairly heavy hammer, so it more or less just drops, drive a stake in, because if you use a light hammer, you'll goof up your your elbow before too long. And then I sharpen this here because you chop out your bed with it, so you want this sharp. But a hammer like this here works real well, and it's all iron, so it will last forever. Then I use a regular trapper trowel, and they've been around for years. And the one thing I do with them that I like to tell trappers that are just starting out is sharpen the edge. They don't come with the edges sharp. You got to keep them sharp because they get dull from digging in the rocks and stuff. But if you sharpen the edge, then when you're got a spot you're going to make a set, if there's some vegetation, you can just take and chop it off with the edge of it because it's just sharpened up just like a knife. And a wire brush, and this type of wire brush will fit real well between the pan and the jaws. So you want to use this type of wire brush, shaped like that is best. So after each catch, you go up underneath the jaws, up in here, and then over the top and around the edges, and your trap is pretty well. And that where the trigger, this is a dogless trap, and where the triggers attach, or where the jaws attach, clean that off because sometimes that'll get blood and dirt and stuff in there, and clean that off. You're ready to go with the next set. Then I carry a small trap stake for making my dirt hole. Most of the time I make a small hole. I drive it in the ground at an angle about like that. Probably in there about 6 or 8 inches. Drive it in and work it around so you got a cone-shaped hole. So the top part of my bait hole is only probably 3 inches diameter across the top. And for kneeling, I used to use canvas years ago, but I just went to a black trash bag, or color doesn't make a difference, but kind of a heavy-duty trash bag. And a lot of guys just kneel on their knees, but you do leave some scent, and I think you should be real careful. But one of the main reason is to kneel on something because a lot of times the weather's bad and it's wet. So you'll get wet, get your knees all muddy and everything, so the trash bag works fine. And for a sifter, I found that the way I make my sets, as you'll see in other parts of the video, I pack the dirt real good around the trap, so the only place you need to sift is right in the center. And this 2-pound coffee can does a real good job of sifting dirt, because all you got to do is sift in that one small area. And then you can use this to go scoop up some dry dirt off from your setaways. And usually you have to carry back some extra dirt. But in the wintertime, I carry extra dirt with me, and if you have to get more dirt, you can go to your vehicle and get another can. But the 2-pound coffee can as a sifter, and just take a spike and punch a bunch of holes in the bottom. And the traps I use mainly, I use different types of traps, but I like the dogless type trap, triggerless trap. I've had the best success with it, and also all my traps have a total length from the trap to the lap link to the stake hole. Lap link here is about 20 inches, 18 or 20 inches. I wouldn't go any less than 18 inches, and that will give you a catch circle of probably a good 5 feet, nearly 6 feet across, about 5 feet across with that type of chain. Don't set your trap with a short chain, because there's a lot of things can go wrong. They can pump the stake out. If the ground's a little soft, they can pump the stake because they're usually pulling straight up. And if you get rain, you'll have mud, and with a short chain, your trap will ball up in the mud real easy. Where a longer chain like this, they're staying away from the trap and the stake, and they got some ground to work with away from the stake. So 18 or 20 inch chain. I prefer the dogless trap, although I've caught many coyotes with double long spring number 3 ends. I've caught more in those than anything because I've used those for years and years and years. But now I've gone to the 4-coiled dogless trap, and that's my favorite, and it's a very good trap. There's different companies make them, but I prefer them. Anyway, my carrying bag in here, I got the little pockets on the side, and I'll use my trap covers in there, and on the other side my bait hole material I use for trap pan covers. I don't have one right with me. I should show it maybe. But anyway, I use baggies, fold over baggies, and I've used them for years. And use a knife. After you set your trap, you can tuck it in with a good smooth edge, just an old table knife. They work real good. So I know other people use other covers, but you should use some type of a pan cover of some sort. Screen, some people use screen, but I use the baggies, and they'll stay soft. There's no noise, and you can buy a roll of them for a little, or a very small amount. A couple rolls will last you all winter. And that's about the extent of my equipment. And oh, another thing too, I want to mention, the lures I have. When I'm handling lures, I usually take my gloves off. I try to each time I handle a lure. But my lures they come in plastic jars. Well, I use these plastic containers. I think these are empty peanut butter jars. Put your lure bottle, it'll just fit right in there. And put them in your trapper's bag, so when you put this iron trap making equipment in there, you're not breaking your jars all the time. So put them inside of these peanut butter jars. So I eat quite a little peanut butter, so I just save the jars. But anyway, that's about the extent of my equipment. That's the way. It's very humane, and it's just a matter of 2 or 3 seconds, they're dead. Okay, I'll take the coyote out now and redo the set. There's a well furred out female. I would say she's probably a yearling. Looks like a yearling to me. This coyote was caught in the flat post set that I use quite a lot. And this here's my post where I put my lure on, but I'll just lay that off the side and I'll just do the set, just regular do a flat set, get that all done, then move the post in. After a catch, there's usually some hair and such you got to clean off. This is pretty good shape, and make sure you clean off where the latch fits under the pan. There, a person can get it back in pretty good order in a short time. just prepare it like you do any flat set. It's a flat set used in conjunction with a wood post laid flat perpendicular to the set, and it's a very good set because you've got eye appeal, something that gets their attention, and also you've got a place to put your lure. I bring the post up, always bait the same end of the post, and these other rocks that are laying here, I use them as kind of in case something comes, deer, or there wouldn't be any livestock in here, just something to brace that post so it can't roll around. It's another form of just a walk-through set, but it's got some added features here. What I do, there's probably still a little lure left in there, but I'll add a piece of absorbent material and poke down in the split part of the post there. With lure usage, as the weather gets colder, I'll use a stronger lure, and by stronger I mean probably skunk essence added to it, or civet cat, spotted skunk. I like that essence if I can get it, but You need something a little stronger to kind of get their attention, but after you've caught a coyote at a set, you won't have any trouble getting them in there after that. What I'll do here, I'll just take some of this dead vegetation here that the coyote has kind of stirred up. Set's about completed. On this set here, I won't even, I'll take that rock and plow it back under here probably. On this set, I won't even use any urine the second time. There's enough urine in the grass and dirt here that it's not necessary to use any urine. It's pretty strong right here, right now. And when I get up, again, I kind of rough up the ground where I've knelt and make kind of some scratch marks, and the set is redone. I'll explain why I picked this spot for a set. I discovered this here 2 or 3 years ago. 3 years ago, I guess, this saddle in this range of hills right here. I was over west here about a half a mile, and I could see it on the skyline, and I thought, well, there's tracks coming through over there, and I think they're coming from this way, and I came back up here, and it's more or less a coyote highway coming through this saddle. And it's just a perfect high spot. I can check the set from a distance with binoculars, which is great, and it stays fairly clear of snow, and it's just a great place to pick up some animals. I've caught quite a few here over the years, and it's just a good spot. You can always count on having a coyote in here every few days. There'll be another one in the trap all season long, so that's why I picked it. This here is a set that I'm going to use here on the edge of this soybean field. I'm out about 30 feet from the edge of the field on the north side of the fence. There's an east-west fence, so this should stay pretty clear of snow during the winter months. It'll just sift to blow across here because they cut these soybean fields so short that they don't catch hardly any snow. And the ground is a little bit moist here, so I'm going to use a set that I used oversized gravel in the bottom of the trap bed, and I want to show that. It'll keep your trap from freezing down. Most of the problems with damp weather when it freezes is you set a trap in damp ground and it'll freeze the jaws down, and what covering you put on top, your real dry dirt on top, it'll break up through that. But it's the freezing down that's a problem. If you make your sets in real damp ground. And then I carry dry dirt, so I'm covering it with real dry dirt. And it'll freeze up a little bit, but with your 4 coil traps and the oversized gravel in the bottom, it'll pop up through any frost. So I'll go ahead and start the set. The hard clods I just throw off to the side, and you can see there's some dampness in the dirt here. Of course, you can avoid these damp spots by trapping more on high ground, but sometimes you just have to trap the flat ground, but you can still pick a windswept area like this here. Take a little bit more depression off to one corner for the trap stake and chop a little bit in one end of your trap bed for your lure hole there where you're going to add your attractor. I've cleaned out pretty much all the the dirt in the bed, and I'll drive the stake before I go to the next step. Have the stake down here in the lower right hand corner. That's a good solid ground under there. No problem. Okay, I'll take and level that off some, and my stake. I use a stake for the lure hole here. I'll do that before I put the oversized gravel in. Okay, what I use, if the soil is kind of damp, I line the bottom with this pea-sized, oversized gravel. You dump that in there, about that much. You kind of dish it out like you do for a set, so your trap does not set right flat on the damp earth. It'll break up through this. Your frost, well, if it does adhere to one of these little tiny rocks, it'll just come right up with the trap jaw. Especially the 4-coil trap is fairly strong. It won't set quite as even in there, but I can show you that it does set fairly good. Kind of work it back and forth, but that complete trap now is on this pea-sized rock, or it's actually oversized gravel. And any place where they do have gravel stockpiles for construction, they'll usually have some of this stuff. And the dirt being kind of, I can fill in a little bit around the edge here. But make sure the inside, right underneath the jaws, has got the rock on, underneath it, which it has. Okay, I brought some dry dirt here. Okay, the trap is sitting on that, but it's perfectly solid. And this will save you quite a few misses if you have. I know at times in the fall of the year when you start trapping, you'll have damp conditions. But if you use this stuff right here, it'll really help you to line the bed with it. Then you just go ahead and put on your trap covering like you do. It's just a regular set. The only thing that's different is the lining with the oversized gravel in the bed. What I do when I get up is kind of bring the ground back up to how it looked before I got here. Just rough it up a little bit. Okay, we got this set here. We've got another set over here about 15 feet away. We've got a draw station over here about 40 feet, 35 to 40 feet. And with a windswept area and a draw station, a double set, you're in the coyote business here, and it's a matter of a day or two, you'll pick up a coyote. And from then on, and once you get it scented up for the first catch, it just continually catch coyotes. And I like these soybean fields, but they leave you a good windswept area to trap on. but stay away from the fence line. At least 25, 30 feet from the north side of anything that'll catch snow. And that's how I make this set. Okay, well, we got a coyote here. This is about the third coyote at this location since catching a badger. And I always figure the badger catch kind of helps the attractiveness of the set. You got to level it off. I usually carry a rake along, garden rake, and level it off, but the badger scent is fairly attractive to the coyote. But so I'll put this coyote down here and we'll remake this set. I try to get down kind of level with the animal and shoot him through the hard area. Okay, I'll take this coyote out and we'll redo this set here. One thing I wanted to show you here is this coyote, as far as fur value, is no value. It's got the beginning of mange. You can see it on the hind legs here and on the tail. The fur starts getting real brittle, and eventually it would just progress all over the back of this coyote. So there's actually no value to this coyote. I don't even put him in my pickup. Just throw him off to the side and put him in a dead pile spot somewhere, but I don't like to haul them in my vehicle. So I'll go ahead and redo this set. Although that's the main, that one's coming down with the mange. That's the first one in this area here that I've caught with mange. Probably that'd be the only one too. So we still plan on getting some good quality coyotes in here. Here's another great area for coyote catches. It's a major drainage system that has 3 or 4 drainages coming together, and I catch a good many coyotes here every winter. Here's one coyote that was caught this past season, and there were several caught in here. Okay, I'd like to show you a little bit about the different quality in coyote pelts. This one right here I'm holding is, I call it a Dakota pale, or Western pale, found throughout South Dakota, probably northern Nebraska and parts of North Dakota. The white goes just about, well, it does in the upper part of the pelt all the way to the skin. As you go down here, it'll change into kind of a dirty white, but this is still a #1 quality of a Western pale coyote. And I'll go on now. I'll show you a couple of pelts from North Dakota that are what we call the heavy pale. And you take these here and you hold on to the hip area here. It's real thick, where your Western Dakota semi-heavies are a little lighter in the hips, although it is a nice quality fur. Now this one here, you'll notice, is white way to the skin. Beautiful. It goes into a little kind of an off-white as you get down here, but it's still real light all the way down in. And what's kind of ironic about this too, I remember when I trapped these two here, they were a mated pair. I figured it was late in the winter. They haven't started to lose any of their guard hairs hardly at all, and they were unusually good pelts for that late in the year. But these are the Western heavies, the Western heavy pale. Is the most sought after coyote usually every year in the Dakotas. I've got a coyote here this morning. We just had quite a weather change recently. Last 2 days, quite a lot of wind and snow, and I just wanted to show you an example of why you pick windswept areas. Now there's pretty good snow cover all around here, But this here spot along this creek here was a little higher than any place else, so I put in a double set right here. And you can see how clear it is. You get off here, snow is deeper. Up there, snow is deeper. Over there, and you've got two things coming together. You've got a fence and a creek and a high spot, and it's just one of those ideal spots to make a coyote set. And you just know that they're going to be traveling this, and it's going to stay working for you all winter. So I'll go ahead and put this coyote down. One thing I carry with my equipment is a stubby broom, kind of a wore out straw broom, and just taking, you can kind of make it a little neater looking. I don't know, they probably don't pay much attention to your tracks or anything, but you can kind of clean it up a little bit after a remake, and the broom comes in real handy, an old broom like this. So I always keep one in the pickup. There, the set's redone. Yeah, I want to show you this location here where I've taken many coyotes over the years, and you got a natural drainage coming down through here with a lot of finger draws going up to the east, and there's a dam here, and all your livestock trails come to this dam. And coyotes, they just naturally follow livestock trails, so everything ends up here. You also got a high spot on the dam where it's the wind is going to keep everything clear. But you can get a lot of snow in this country, and your sets will always be working. Sometimes it's a little hard getting in here, but most of the time a guy can drive in on these ridges and get to your sets. But I usually put in 2 sets when I'm ever setting up for coyotes. Put in a set on each end of the dam. There's a cow trail coming up on each end, and many times you'll have doubles. I seldom put in 3 traps, but I do put in 2 just about all the time. And anyway, I'm going to get my equipment out now, and we're going to put in a couple sets here. And these traps will be here even as when the weather gets cold, or more snow, we get more snow here, they'll keep on working because it'll blow clear of snow down there. Okay, the reason I selected this spot here, well, there's 2 or 3 different reasons, but there's a cow trail coming down the edge of the water here, but it's to put a set back in there, it's too low it's on the leeward side of this hill. Well, when in the wintertime you got northwest wind, you're going to be probably 2 or 3 feet of snow in there. Well, right here, it'll blow clear. And another thing that made me stop right here is a badger's been digging here, dug out a ground squirrel sometime in the early fall, and that's a natural attraction. A large hole like that, any coyote comes by, I'll have to investigate that. So I will put 1 set here and put the other set in on the other end of this dam, because there'll be cow trails coming in about the same way. So we've got this badger digging will really help here. So I'll go ahead and put this set in here. Well, this set is completed. Now I'll go back across and kind of show you, give you an idea of the distance these sets are apart. Of course, it depends on the width of the dam, but I would say it's about 175 feet between these sets. And as I'm going across here, there's just a lot of coyote scat, and you want to set on sign. Don't make your sets where there's no sign, because you want to know that they've been using it, and there's all kinds of scent here from other coyotes. So set on sign, and a place like this it's hard to say how often they come through here, but you can bet there's coyotes coming through here every few days. And probably with this amount of sign here, there's probably a family group raised here within a mile or two. And they're just a hot spot. Okay, here's the other set that I made first. And we're back on the other end of the dirt fill now. And as you can see, the reason I set, there's cow trail coming up here. On the other side, there was a cow trail. And some of the coyotes cross the dam and some don't. And that's why I make my sets on the end, because you don't want to miss those that come up and off. But when they come up to the end, they'll smell your lure. But if you make a set in the center, I've tested it, there's some of them don't cross. I've seen their tracks in the snow where they won't cross. They have no fear of it, they just don't do it. They just follow the cow trail in and follow the cow trail out. And so that's another advantage of putting your one set on each end. Well, we have a coyote caught today on the fill of this dam, and it shows good what happens when we get a snow cover. The top of that dam fill is completely blown clear, and so that's a key place to make your sets. And I'll put the animal down now. It heart shot him, and we'll redo the set. After we once caught one like this, the next coyote will be along just within a day or two, and we should have another one here. But I wanted to show you how the top of the dam blows clear, and this shows it real well. Okay, we have a coyote here today, and after this fresh snow, I'll walk up there and dispatch him and redo this set. It's just a good example of why I trap on high ground, because you get snow, and if you have much wind, which we usually do, it'll keep the area clear. So I'll put him down and redo the set. As you can see all around me here, there's probably 4 or 5 inches of snow and very little up on top, because that's from the wind. And, it works real well to always pick out the high spots. There's the remade set. Even with the snow on, there's not much to clear away, and you got a lot of dry dirt because it is high ground. It stays dry. And, so the next one should be coming along here. In another 2 or 3 days, you should have another coyote here. Here's another shot of it from distance here. And okay, this is a large male, a little larger than normal, and it's just a good winter shot of where I make a lot of sets in the fall and winter, and you can redo these sets real easily. There's not much snow, and I hope from watching this video you've picked up the reason I set on this high ground, because you will catch more animals there than probably anywhere else, because your traps will always be working. So in fact, I hope you picked up a lot of things, but this is one of them, and I want to wish you good luck in the future in your trap line.
When the sun goes down and the shadows grow in numbers, and you hear the lonesome sound of a coyote's howl, the moon and the stars become a nightlight on the prairie, and you sleep to the lullaby of a snowy owl. You can only imagine, if you haven't seen the beauty beyond the brick and the mortar out in the rough. You can only imagine the feeling that I carry in my heart when the sun goes down.